Britain's news channel.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
First of all, are we talking about the West and the East, or is this a Western phenomenon?
Wholly Western phenomena, which excludes China, where things are still in a healthy state.
What's happening in the West, then?
It's been going on for quite a while, and it started with the universities and then affected the biennales conferences. Basically, it's this left drift and the sense that, as in Vogue, we should care about the downtrodden, the marginal groups, the global south. We should criticize what's going on, and there's a sense of illegitimacy with everything which now is developed in most of the real-world developments we are, for instance, doing, as being neoliberal architecture. And so the discourse is shifting away, ignoring that and saying this is fallen, this is commercial, this is compromised. And we have a discourse about another world caring and looking after those who have been discriminated against. And that pulls a discourse and critical debate away from what's going on. And therefore what's going on is bereft of critique, of exposure, of debate, and becomes a craft.
We are looking at, on the screen at the moment, at some of the great buildings that you have been involved in. So tell me about the background to these. I mean, you were one of the architects here. What was your education? What was your inspiration? What led you to create buildings that look like that?
So I was originally educated in Stuttgart, Germany. I came here as a student, went to the South Bank University in exchange program, and as a student joined Zaha Hadid, was a rising star in the field. And at that time, there was really a thriving discourse in architecture, grappling with this new world.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good evening, this is Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. On the show tonight, MPs pass a law that could police pub banter. Is the state banning fun now? Women forced to refund customers for opening a biological women-only gym, and what happened to exercising your rights? And Pride in Surrey co-founder convicted of child sex offences. Are predators using LGBT activism as cover? But first, the news with Aaron Armstrong.
Thank you very much indeed. It's 7 o'clock. Good evening to you. Our headlines. The Health Secretary's apologised for causing anxiety amongst administrators in the NHS, but says hundreds more health-related quangos could be scrapped. Wes Streeting's acknowledged there will be significant job losses following the decision to abolish NHS England. It was done to bring the health service back under the control of ministers. He says the surprise move is the beginning, not the end of his plans to slim down what he's described as a bloated public services in the UK.
We're actually cutting waiting lists twice as fast as in other areas. So I will be applying this principle elsewhere in the NHS to make sure that where we are seeing people doing something that's innovative and impactful, they're not just isolated pilots. The NHS has got more pilots than the RAF, but they're being adopted and rolled out across the country, and that's part of the wider reform agenda we've got to take the NHS from the worst crisis in its history, get it back on its feet and make sure it's fit for the future.
The Health Secretary refused to be drawn on whether the government will freeze personal independence payments as part of Labour's upcoming reforms. The Work and Pensions Secretary, Liz Kendall, is understood to be watering down her radical cuts to the welfare budget following a backlash from MPs and ministers. Well, asked about the speculation that some disability benefits may be frozen, Wes Streeting said he's not seen the full proposals, but he's sure Ms Kendall will want to help those who are most in need. 4 arrest warrants have been issued after a nightclub fire killed at least 59 people in North Macedonia. Officials say more than 150 other people have been injured. The blaze broke out in the town of Kochani in the early hours of this morning. 1,500 people were attending a concert there. It's understood that indoor fireworks, pyrotechnics, were the cause of the blaze, which set in 60 miles east of the capital, Skopje. Authorities in the US have confirmed at least 34 people have died after deadly tornadoes tore through several southern states. Cars were flipped over, homes flattened, and around 138 million people remain at risk of severe weather. The National Weather Service has warned of dangerous conditions because of intense to violent storms. A state of emergency has been declared in a number of states, including Arkansas, Georgia and Oklahoma. Yemen's Houthis claim to have targeted a US aircraft carrier in the Red Sea without providing any evidence. The claims are in response to a series of overnight strikes by the US against the Iran-backed group, which Donald Trump has described as decisive and powerful. It's the biggest US military operation in the Middle East since Mr. Trump took office in January. The Houthis say at least 31 people have been killed. And Newcastle have finally ended their wait for a trophy with a win at Wembley against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final. A local boy, Dan Byrne, headed the Magpies into the lead on the stroke of half-time. He had an England call-up earlier this week, so some week for Byrne. Alexander Isak's 23rd goal of the season, 7 minutes after the break, helped to secure a first domestic trophy since the 1955 FA Cup final, despite a late goal from Federico Chiesa. That's it for the moment. I'll be back with more in about an hour's time.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. This is a show where we cast our gaze across a spectrum of culture, current affairs and politics and do our very best to make some sense of the senseless. Coming up on the show tonight, goodbye to pub banter as MPs vote through a law that could police what you say to your friends down the local boozer. Is fun just going to be banned altogether? A woman who opened a woman-only gym has been forced to refund customers after the gym is now made only for biological females. What happened to women exercising their rights? And as the co-founder of Pride in Surrey is convicted of child sex offences, the predators hiding behind the LGBTQIA+ movement, what are they doing to disguise their crimes? And, of course, myself and my fantastic panel will be answering questions from our wonderful audience. And look at this audience. Here they are. Give yourselves a round of applause. Packed out. Thank you. We've got the Turks in. We've got the LGBT Alliance in. I got given a present. This is amazing. Anyway, my guests this evening, my comedian guests this evening are Nick Dixon and Stephen Allen. You well, Nick?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I didn't get a present, though.
No,
I thought it was a bit off. Anyway, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
You didn't get a present? Because I got one before we came in.
I know. They've read some of my tweets, is what it is.
Fair enough.
It happens a lot.
Right, we're going to start with some questions from our audience. Our first question's from Cavan. Hey, Cavan.
Yeah, good evening. My question is, how racist is Shakespeare?
Yeah, how racist is Shakespeare? Yeah, it depends if you're a fairy or not. So, just made that up. So this is the story that Shakespeare's Birthplace Trust are decolonising its collection over concerns about its association with white supremacy. Is the playwright now a play wrong? What do you think about this?
Well, he did write The Merchant of Venice.
Hey, good point. Good point.
And also, what's next? Charles Dickens? Are they going to criticise him?
Well, OK, yeah, Charles Dickens could well be dodgy. Yeah, I mean, this is. I mean, look, we've seen this in different institutions, but Shakespeare, really?
Yeah, it really feels like you've run out of people to criticise.
Yeah.
Like, what, is this a dagger I see before me? Just because he mentions knife crime doesn't necessarily mean he's racist. The argument is that Shakespeare was so good that he helped white supremacy. Like, your argument is saying that he was too good and therefore other people, the onus is on them to do better then, surely, isn't it? Yeah. It's not like, come on, Shakespeare, take one for the team.
It's a dumbing down of culture.
Be a bit rubbish and you'll make white people look less good. Well, that's not how it would have worked.
Yeah, did your blood boil when you read this article,
Well, the
Nick?
problem is Shakespeare actually is supreme. He's the best writer ever, and he happens to be British. Sorry, we win. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem. They said that it presents European culture as the world standard for high art. It just is. It's like saying, oh, Japan had a standard for, I don't know, technology and sumo wrestling. It's like, yeah, well done. They win that. They said it presents a symbol of British cultural superiority. This is an area where we happen to absolutely smash it.
We are very good at Shakespeare.
Exactly.
We've
got the best writer.
One Shakespeare.
We've got the best
We're
writer.
the number one in Shakespeare.
Well, but he's the best writer in the history of the English language, right? Which we also invented. So, you know, to me, that's the
You're
problem.
sounding very racist, Nick.
Well, the problem to me is, like, why wouldn't you? What's wrong with thinking your own country is the best?
Well, that's
because you're in the World Cup, you don't support the other team. You're like, yeah, England. That's how it is. And why is it inherently moral, the left seems to think, to despise your own country? Do you despise your own family or your own neighbours? It doesn't make any sense. I've never understood that.
Well, the idea that we have to put down Shakespeare somehow is what's ridiculous. And the fact this is now coming from the very people who are meant to be proponents of Shakespeare, who control his legacy, and they're trying to sort of apologise for his accomplishments, that's scary.
Do you not think this also was a news story that told you they've now done all the people who had slaves? Because I'm presuming slowly they've made their way through slave owners and now we're onto Shakespeare, who didn't, and yet somehow he's still going to get stuff taken down.
That's it. Where are they going to go? What's next, do you think?
It's you.
It's going to... I think it's Jesus. Okay, put a few Christians in the audience tonight, so...
Offensive.
Our next question is from Tony. Moving on swiftly.
Can a religion be impartial?
Oh, bad question right now. So can a religion be impartial? Yes, this is the Islam channel. It's facing an Ofcom investigation after claims it incites extremism and breaches rules on impartiality. Now, Tony, I know you're a big fan of the Islam channel. You like some of their earlier sitcoms.
You did the YMCA wrong. That's what close, but not quite.
Yeah, do you... have you seen the Islam channel? Have you ever watched it at all?
No.
Never got back from the pub at sort of 12 in the morning and...
Explain that I wouldn't switch on.
OK, well, fair enough. Have you watched the Islam channel, Steve?
It's a couple of channels up from CBeebies, and every so often my one-year-old gets the remote control. So I've ended up watching some of it, yeah.
Okay,
They've also never hired me, so I'm a bit offended about that, because I've been on like a handful of different channels, and that's the one I want to get.
This is the...
I hear they're not very into providing balance. That's the issue.
Literally, I could sort them out. I could make this problem go away.
It's got like you're about to say that, but I think 2 million viewers a day.
Yeah.
It also is, it's watched by 60% of the British Muslim population. It's quite scary to think if they are, as the accusations go, broadcasting some extremism or sympathy to extremism, that's not good.
Well, sorry to look at my phone, but I just wanted the exact quote here. It said, they praised violent Islamist movements, encouraged hostility against the West and portrayed terrorism with sympathy. And for a minute I thought, haven't we talked enough about the BBC? But it turned out it was the Islam channel, and they also praised October 7th on multiple occasions. But Ofcom aren't that interested in that because they need to spend all their energy on...
The BBC can't defend themselves, by the way, I just have to say that.
That was a joke, though, as well.
Yeah,
Satirical content, and they can't defend themselves. And if they were here, they would say no to me. Well, I don't know. But I just wanted to say as well, Ofcom, they seem to have left this channel not completely alone. They have fined it, I think. But it's like they've got too much time to... They've got enough time to look at Jacob Rees-Mogg reporting news for 9 seconds. But not...
It was founded in 2004. Someone came over, got refugee status in 2004, and they were the founder of the Tunisian Islamic Front, which supposedly has ties to terrorism itself. So that's somewhat could be revealing. The other thing is where this report that has gone into Ofcom has come from. Now, did it come from, Stop Funding Hate, or did it come from Hope Not Hate? Possibly.
I mean, I've not heard that they had any...
Are you saying that Hope Not Hate haven't done a report on this channel that's been broadcasting some very dodgy stuff?
They're doing it alphabetically. You've got to go through GB News before you get to...
so they got caught on GB News, they couldn't work their way down.
We all love Ofcom, but... Just hypothetically, if we didn't, isn't it an absurdity to try to regulate a religious channel? Some religious channels are just like there's like a Christian channel just singing in hymns. That seems largely apolitical. But if it's a sort of clearly political channel, I just think it's an absurdity to try and regulate.
Because the idea of impartiality is impossible.
Yeah, I think it's impossible.
The fact if you're a member of religion thinks that you think at some level it's
and I think
the way to live your life.
I think the whole idea of broadcast impartiality is just flawed at the outset.
That's such an impartial statement. So our next question is from Luke.
Good evening. Happy birthday, Josh.
Thank you, sir.
Is body positivity dead?
OK. Is body positivity dead? Yeah, so this is a story that a clothing brand has revealed it receives over hundreds of complaints a day that its models are too fat. Chief Executive Bridget Reid says that models of her size 4 to 38 clothing are frequently the target of hateful posts about their size. So what do you think about this? I mean, seemingly in fashion appropriately for a while, that they were using these models deliberately who were larger, plus-sized. Do you think that the wheel has kind of turned now?
Yes, I mean, I personally like a chap with a little bit more meat on the bone, but some of them are completely ridiculous. I mean, these are models. They're meant to be selling clothes, not bin liners. So, I mean, I just really dislike it. So, yeah,
fair enough. That's what I got from my kids, by the way, bin liners. Yeah, but the thick kind. So
that's not healthy.
There's somewhat of a hypocrisy here because the Advertising Standards Authority is banning adverts for people who are seemingly too slim because they're seen as unhealthy. But, of course, they're allowing adverts of people who are arguably as unhealthy but on the other end of the scale. And actually, we have a quick photo. I just want to... there we go. So that person there is seen as too slim. I think she is slim, but I mean, actually, to be honest, it looks pretty terrible right there. But when you look close up, she's totally fine in my book.
You know the thing about if you're in a hole, stop digging. I mean, I'm not saying I would.
Get that photo off. It totally disproves my point. No.
But so that's an ad campaign where it's only that one photo where she looks too thin. The same woman from different angles apparently perfectly fine, yet they still ban the advert. So it's ridiculous. And also, anyone who's bothering to leave a comment going, "Oh, that model's too fat," if you see something you don't like, how about you try shutting up? Because adverts don't owe you having people that you like. This is how adverts work. If you don't like the person in it, they won't convince you to buy the thing. Crack on with your life. So I don't know who's bothering going like, "Oh, I think that model's too fat or thin." What's it got to do with you?
Yeah, no, Nick, what do you think about that?
Well, one thing that they had to employ 12 members of staff just to deal with complaints about the models. So it's like a desperate attempt to sort of tamp down reality. But reality is just people don't love it. And the reason is, they say, well, look, in reality, people are different sizes. Yes, but adverts are aspirational. You show the car on the winding mountain road next to the ocean that doesn't exist. You don't show it stuck in traffic, right, on a bank holiday.
With a fat person in it.
Right, so that's just how it is. And most complaints that the Advertising Standards Authority receive are for people looking underweight, as you sort of hinted at. So it's like, really, people want to see someone healthy weight, but the people that idea is not even allowed in wokeness, because like even the idea of health is like, oh, it's subjective, which it isn't.
Yeah. OK, well, our final question for the moment is from Janine.
Hi. Is beer misogynist?
Yes, is beer misogynist? Thank you, Janine. Now, this is a woman. She went to a gig in Leeds the other night and was met by a beer tap with a sign saying it's not for TERFs. So let's have a little look at this photo. OK, Janine, there it is, there. So it says there's anthology, it's not for TERFs, underscore. Now, we have some self-identified TERFs in the audience tonight. Thank you for coming. Janine, did you see this on social media?
I did.
It's made me very angry.
Well, it's clearly very short-sighted because he doesn't know exactly how much TERFs drink.
It's true, I saw you in the waiting room. You guys put it away there. Yeah.
Apart from being offensive and misogynist, it's stupid as well.
It is stupid, yeah. No, I absolutely agree. And but do you think there is this crossover between... There's this idea of sort of this craft beer guy, I guess, who's got a beard and he's sort of he likes Led by Donkeys and he listens to Alistair Campbell's podcast. And it seems to me this is the kind of guy that would make a beer like this, not realising how incredibly misogynistic it truly is.
Yeah, I don't know what the font looks like. It's similar to the Yorkie Bar font, so they're trying to do the "it's not for girls" thing. So there's probably a swing and a miss. Or the part of me also thinks there's some cynical, like, say that it'll get on social media and somehow it'll be noticed. But I don't know if you've got the volume to then match the sales if suddenly a viral video happens. So I don't know. I just think it's a swing and a miss, badly aimed.
OK, fair enough. Well, I personally find it a little bit... It upsets me when I see things like that, because it's exclusive and it says that we're not welcome here in this venue to anybody who believes that there are two biological sexes.
Yeah, it's lame. And the funny thing is, I was actually going to make the exact same example of someone who likes Led by Donkeys, so it's obviously a cliche. Yeah. Why is it that, like, craft beer and IPA is associated with these awful people? I was going to say another word, but we can't on the telly. But it's weird, isn't it? And I also feel ashamed of the North. There's this sort of weird sort of, mate, hey, just don't... Like, there's a kind of weird wokeness in the North that's kind of around for some reason, so I feel ashamed on behalf of my northern people. And the brewery company had pronouns in bio still. It's like, really?
Wow.
Still with the pronouns in the bio?
It'll be really interesting to see who are going to be the last people standing, who, like,
just craft beer people, like the last one. He, him, we know you're a man.
Drinking all their endless supplies that didn't sell. Right, next on Free Speech Nation, MPs pass a law that could police pub banter. Is the state banning fun now? See you in 2 minutes.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point.
He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
First of all, are we talking about the West and the East, or is this a Western phenomenon?
Wholly Western phenomenon, which excludes China, where things are still in a healthy state.
What's happening in the West, then?
It's been going on for quite a while, and it started with the universities and then affected the biennales conferences. Basically, it's this left drift in the sense that as in Vogue, we should care about the downtrodden, the marginal groups, the global south. We should criticize what's going on, and there's a sense of illegitimacy with everything which now is developed in most of the real-world developments we are, for instance, doing, as being neoliberal architecture. And so the discourse is shifting away, ignoring that and saying this is fallen, this is commercial, this is compromised. And we have a discourse about another world caring and looking after those who have been discriminated against, and that pulls a discourse and critical debate away from what's going on, and therefore what's going on is bereft of critique, of exposure, of debate, and becomes a craft.
We are looking at, on the screen at the moment, at some of the great buildings that you have been involved in. So tell me about the background to these. I mean, you were one of the architects here. What was your education? What was your inspiration? What led you to create buildings that look like that?
So I was originally educated in Stuttgart, Germany. I came here as a student, went to the South Bank University in exchange program, and as a student joined Zaha Hadid, who was a rising star in the field. And at that time, there was really a thriving discourse in architecture, grappling with this new world.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Now, Labour is facing a major backlash after voting through a controversial new bill that critics say could ban banter in Britain's pubs. The employment rights bill, designed to strengthen workers' rights, includes Clause 18, a small but explosive addition that could force bar staff to police jokes and casual conversation. The Free Speech Union branded it as Snowflake's Charter, and even the Equality and Human Rights Commission admits it could disproportionately curtail free speech. So, could we soon see banter? This is called banter bouncers, that's what I call it. Careful, if you tell a joke, you could end up like Keir Starmer.
That man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on. Get out of my pub.
That was a terrible joke that he told. So, we are delighted to be joined by the editor of Spiked Online, Tom Slater. Hello, Tom. Welcome. Thank you, Tom. So, Tom, people have been talking about this bill for quite a while now, but it's actually this week in Parliament it went through the next step, right?
Absolutely. So it's still got to go to the House of Lords, so there's still hope that something can be done to remove this particular clause, because it just seems to be sort of waging war on just pub culture, pub life. People go to places like the pub, they go to nightclubs to let loose a little bit. They shouldn't expect to have their words policed or for little signs to be erected on the door saying what topics they should steer against. And that is exactly what this particular clause would be doing. I mean, it's a bit of a kind of convoluted way to that point, but it's the fact they're essentially requiring employers to protect their staff against harassment from third parties, which on the face of it doesn't sound controversial. I mean, no one here, I hope, goes to the pub with the intention of harassing the staff. But
John over there.
I have heard about John. So, John aside, that shouldn't really be an issue. But, of course, the issue is harassment is a crime that involves speech, and employers tend to be very overly cautious when it comes to drawing up policies on these kinds of things. So you can easily see why a publican or anyone else would want to be particularly harsh on these kinds of things so that they were never potentially going to be faced with a lawsuit. So it's a real threat to just our ability to speak our minds, even in the most kind of informal but public of settings, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, the thing about these bills is they're put through with the best of intentions. But it always amazes me how no one ever actually looks at, oh, how could this work out? And we saw it with all of these different movements, including gender ideology and self-ID. They go, oh, yeah, what's wrong with it? And then some people need to come along and say, well, this is what's wrong with it. But then, by then, the kind of governments move so far down the process, it feels like they just do it to save face in a way.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's actually some people who suggest that the reason this has made it into this bill is just because it's been put there maybe by a kind of civil servant. This is a particular clause which has come up in previous pieces of legislation but removed because of these concerns raised about freedom of speech and so on. So one would have hoped that once it was pointed out to the Labour Party, they would remove it. Of course, this is a potentially unworkable and really a liberal thing to put in the statute book, but they've had it pointed out to them now. They have ploughed ahead with this legislation. They did vote down the amendment that the Tories tried to bring this week, which would remove this particular clause. So they can't say they weren't warned, but it's something which I can't think of any sane person who would support the idea that you would have banter bouncers in place. But the unintended consequences, as you suggested, this kind of legislation, which there's something about the Labour Party in particular, have got it in their heads that you have to hyper-regulate even the most minute of interactions between people, that you can't just leave it up to people to figure out disagreements and things for themselves. But the upshot of it is going to be, a real blow to what is genuinely quite an important part of British public life.
Yeah, because, I mean, we've already seen this kind of stuff before in terms of we've seen, like, comedians at gigs, you have to sign a piece of paper that says you're not going to talk about anything contentious or that could be perceived as being, offensive to somebody. And I believe also a couple of years ago at the Edinburgh Fringe, you had Jerry Sadowitz, one of the kind of originators of alternative comedy, had his show cancelled from the Pleasance Theatre because a bunch of 18-year-old students who were working at the venue went, oh, no, we're offended by, I believe it was a sight of his willy.
He does. That is part of that.
That would do that. But the fact that we've already seen this kind of stuff going on already, and there's no law that backs up, to add a law to it could then make it sort of so much worse.
Absolutely, so much worse, so much more widespread, and just kind of formalises what has already been creeping in, as you suggest, because this particular legislation referring to third parties, obviously that's customers, but that could also be performers, people who are invited into a venue or to the room above a pub or into a comedy club or what have you. It's also going to affect them. There's also concerns it's going to affect universities even more so because of the fact that there's invited speakers who come in. I mean, there again you see already loads of censorship, loads of no platforming. This just is another kind of legal nudge in that direction, something that we really don't need. I think the other thing that it's sort of formalising is something that's been creeping in for a while, which is this idea that there is a kind of worker's right not to be offended, which we've seen blow up in things like the Jerry Sadowitz case, or things like when Terry Gilliam was hounded out of a particular theatre because of his comments on the gender issue and so on, which is it's a really negative thing. And we've seen that play out in terms of workplace relations between different employees, these kinds of policies being used to squash someone who has heretical views, according to them. But the fact that it's now even being turned on customers is an even more insidious thing, I think.
Yeah, and I think on social media last week I saw a gay gentleman in Belfast, and I don't know if you saw that clip, and he went, and I think he got kicked out of a gay bar because they had seen some comments he'd made on social media about women's sports or there being two sexes. So to give the power to the only kind of worthy people are allowed of being socialised or being seen in public. Again, it's sort of almost like cancellation on this micro scale.
No, absolutely. And we all know where most of this censorship is going to go, what direction that's going to go in. There are people with a particular political persuasion, people who tend to be more woke or kind of a liberal left, if you like, they're going to be the people who are going to want to weaponise this kind of legislation. They're going to be the people who are going to want to terrify their bosses into clamping down on speech they dislike. And on that point of how this is going to add to what's already taking place, I mean, you talk about something like the gender-critical issue, the difficulty that gender-critical campaigners have with booking venues, with even just having meetings informally in a pub, or lesbian dating nights that are genuinely for lesbians only. The difficulty that people are having holding those things at the moment, even without this legislation, indicates that it's going to get so much worse if this isn't eventually taken out.
So do you know what the next steps are with this bill? It's going to go to laws. Is there anything that the people out there do? I saw something on the Free Speech Union website. I think there was like a template you could send to your MP just to kind of raise more awareness. Is that really the only thing that we can do now?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's gone through the common stages now, so it's not as if your MP will be kind of directly able to intervene at this particular point. But the more noise that can be made out of this, the more pressure that the government could be put on in general to potentially take this out is all for the good as it carries on, because I think once it's really made abundantly clear what this entails, I think any sensible person, even within this Labour government, there must be a few of them, will relent eventually.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sort of inspires me to kind of make some friends so that I can then have an excuse to go out to the pub and then...
It's an important step.
And then try to see if I could sort of, to test this law as and when. I mean, I guess we're going to... I mean, on the positive side, when we do have people cancelled in pubs, cancelled out socialising, I guess what's going to happen is that I will get a lot more guests for this show.
It's win-win. So you've got to be a one-man kind of cancellation machine, you know.
Yeah, no.
Getting your friends thrown out of pubs so that they can relitigate that on the airwaves here.
All right, we'll have to see. Well, anyway, thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Please, Tom Slater, editor of Spike Online. Right, we have another little break next on Free Speech Nation. A woman who opened a women-only gym has been forced to refund customers because the gym is only for biological females. Why? The backlash. Kelly J. Keane joins me in just a moment. See you in 2 minutes.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, welcome to your latest winter sun forecast. After the recent warmth across the Eastern Med, it is cooling down here, but still plenty of fine weather for parts of Turkey, Cyprus and the Greek islands. A little bit more unsettled for the rest of Greece and Italy, but especially so for Iberia, some very heavy rain coming here during the first part of the week. But after some recent unsettled weather for the Canaries, it is warming up here. Plenty of fine weather to come with highs in Tenerife, 23 degrees.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
So the parents in the right, or should they really be taking their kids out during holiday, during end of term break?
Good morning. Yes, it's a real interesting one, but I think there are a few problems with it. There are already 443,000 absences per year. And actually, if they did get their policy and everyone could have this time off, holiday companies aren't here for the fun of it. They're going to just up the prices all year round. And I think that's what this is about. A lot of parents want to grab an absolute bargain. And it's kind of selfish because a holiday is a choice. It's not a necessity. One of the other things they talk about is send children also need to have time off. Now, I am a mum of a child who has a disability, so I understand the complex needs with that, but that's a given. You know, that's something to take up with a local authority. It's you're allowed to have time off if your child has a medical condition. So, yeah.
It's obviously quite a divisive issue, isn't it? It does separate people into two camps. There's people who want to take their kids out during term time to save a bit of cash, and then there's people who think that children should be in school when they're supposed to be in school. How do you think they'll get on with this campaign? Do you think they'll have any success?
Well, I don't think they will, to be honest with you. I think it's too small. And the other thing is it's quite disruptive on the classroom. If you can imagine, I already play catch up because my son has half a day off a week. So I can imagine if that's going on all year round with all the children, trying to keep track of it, sounds an absolute nightmare to me. I mean, personally, I'd rather just go away on holiday on my own without my child and have some relaxation. So that would be my advice to them. Get the granny in.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Now, this is a strange one. A woman who opened a women-only gym has been forced to refund customers because the gym is for women only. This is Natalie Barnett. She posted on Twitter, respectfully, if you have a problem with trans women attending my gym, then you can find another gym to train at. Now, that seems reasonable enough, but the reaction has been as hysterical as you'd expect. Let's find out more from women's rights campaigner Kelly J. Keane. There she is. Hi. Yeah. Lots of fans there, Kelly. And also, if we just cut to the front row, we have some of your posse in tonight. There they are, saying hello. So, welcome. So, Kelly, yes, this is the first time we've met. I've been to a few of your Let Women Speak events, and it was very tough for me to not speak. But... But you've obviously seen this story this week, right?
Yes, of course I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, is it... it seems like this is somewhat typical in that any time someone denies women's only spaces, then it just all kicks off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Every single space women have carved out for ourselves, whether it be a profession, whether it be a very old tea and jam organisation, whether it's a women-only app, group, organisation, changing room, toilet, whatever we have that we have carved out for ourselves, these men just really, really don't like it, and they can't wait to try and erode that particular boundary. So yeah, it's common.
Yeah, and because the interesting thing also is that the person who started this gym, they did a Kickstarter or a crowdfunder, I believe, in 2021, where they said this would be a trans-inclusive space. Now, it's 2021, seems like a very long time ago, but I thought quite bravely, she came out and said, well, look, I've looked into it now, and actually, I'm just going to make this space for biological women, a.k.a. women, only. And we're seeing more of that, where people go away and they actually look at these issues and then they come back. But the reaction that she has received, I'm sure, has been a shock to her. The death threats, violence. I mean, this is what you've, of course, experienced for many years now.
Yeah. Well, I think she made the mistake, as some of the other women that I'm thinking of, you know, whether they had particular groups or apps or whatever, they made this mistake of thinking that it was a really nice, inclusive, wonderful, safe, quite right thing to do, nice and inclusive. And these poor, vulnerable men, they just want to work out and get undressed in those changing rooms. And then they come across those men, and then they realise that there's a perfectly good, well-evidenced and documented reason why women don't want men in their space. And in particular, women don't want men in their space who want to come in their space. You know, most men don't want to come anywhere near our spaces. They want to give us our spaces and our boundaries, and quite right. And it's those men that are sort of hammering the door saying, let me in, that apparently we're going to go, do you know what, I'm totally wrong about this, come on in.
Yeah, and doing it in such an aggressive manner. There was another clip went viral this week from another gym in America where Did you see these trans activists were being quite aggressive towards this woman at I think it was a Korean gym, and she was basically, so what she's saying is it's not that we're trans exclusive, we're just excluding things now into people who have, I think she said, appendages, and people who don't, and that's the criteria. Is that what people now need to do, basically?
I think people just need to use the words men and women. And I think anyone that pretends they don't know what that means should be excluded on the basis that they're not competent enough to use a public space. So that would be my resolution to this. It's Fair women enough. Only. And if you don't know what a woman is, you can't come in. And if you lie about what a woman is, then you can't come in either. So
and that should probably also be used in politics as well.
Oh, absolutely. Look, nobody really thinks that men are women. Nobody really thinks that. There's some people that think it's a good thing to say. There's some people that think it's politically expedient to pretend that they think it. But ultimately, no one really thinks it. You know, there's not a single woman in this country, and women are, unfortunately, quite the cheerleader for these men. There's not a single woman with small children that booked a babysitting service that when Janet turns up with a beard, says, you know what, I am going to leave my kids. I trust you implicitly. I'm going to go and have a nice time. So it's just a lie, and we just need to stop lying.
Yeah, well, I'm just impressed if anybody can actually afford a babysitter at the moment. There's another story that's also happened, but I think it was Women's International Day, where one of your events, I don't think you were there, but a Let Women Speak event up north, and as they were holding the event, someone who worked for the council came along and basically tried to kick them out. Do you mind telling me about that? Yeah, well, some women in our northeast region, Let Women Speak, they went along to an organised event, and their leaflet really did cause some devastating harm to a man's sensibilities, who thought that it was quite catastrophic that women would use words like, you know, women don't have penises and other such truths that we've been able to say for a long time, although we didn't need to, actually. I've said those words more than I care to remember in the last 5 years. I've used more words for genitals than I could possibly ever thought I needed. But yeah, someone got very upset, and they were really aggressive with the women. And I think one of the women filmed it, not particularly the most aggressive moment. If we just quickly show a bit of the clip of it, because someone did, as you say, filmed it.
This building, because this building's a space for all on Friday, Saturday nights. Mm-hmm. Public sector equality duty requires us to foster good relations between all groups, and this isn't doing that, I'm afraid, so we'll have to ask you to leave.
I think you need to...
Can I answer your question?
I think you need to calm down a bit. I think you've come in very aggressively.
Okay, right, okay, I'll take it down. I'll relax. I'll show you how relaxed I am. There you go. Freedom of speech doesn't mean thoughtless speech. The front space and this space is a space for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Clearly not for women who want to voice their opinions. It's clearly not.
No, it's not about voicing your opinions. This is a safe space for people.
Is it a safe space for us?
It's a safe space for everybody, but not to voice those opinions.
So this gentleman, he was using the Public Sector Equality Duty, PSED, to argue that their opinion was making other people unsafe because it didn't promote equality and reduce discrimination. Of course, ironically, as is pointed out in the video, being discriminative himself.
Yeah. Well, look, I think he showed just how calm and rational he was when he's on the floor. So I think we should all commend him for such calm and rational actions. I think look, as much as I really dislike what he said and what he did, I think we have a real fight on our hands to get this rot out of public sector anything, you know, whether it's medicine, whether it's right throughout the NHS, in the police, in the council buildings, wherever it is. It's not really his fault at the end of the day that he feels that it's his job to get cross with women. We give him a structure and a guideline that he can do that. And in fact, probably that he must do that. And they will have had this sort of bizarre Red Army style training where they're told that the most vulnerable people are men who call themselves women, and those men who call themselves women may not, for any sort of brief moment of time, be questioned about their identity. So I have a little bit of empathy for that man, trying to just do what he believes is what his job tells him to do, and that would be the fault of the government and the council and everybody who has really what's a polite way of putting this, has really dropped the ball on this, and they've just let these activist lobby groups run rampant all the way through all of our public services, and it just simply must stop.
Yeah, but the question, I guess, now is how do we actually extricate that brainwashing from individuals like that and from these institutions? Anyway, thank you so much, Kelly J. Keane. Lovely to finally meet you. A spokesperson for Darlington Council said the leaflets breached the public sector equality duty of the council and that the space could not be used as an opportunity to promote transphobic views, as they have to foster good relations between people. Next on Free Speech Nation, as the co-founder of Pride in Surrey is convicted of child sex offences, are predators hiding behind the LGBTQ+ movement to disguise their crimes? Joe Partosh joins me in just a moment. Hey, look at that, happy!
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We've got plenty of fine weather in store across the UK during the week ahead. Temperatures on the rise too, but later in the week things will be turning more unsettled. High pressure is in charge at the moment, giving us the quiet conditions. This weather front, though, starting to push down from the north, introducing some cloud to some parts of England and Wales, and that's certainly the case as we go through the evening into the overnight period. A fair bit of cloud pushing its way southwestwards across England and Wales, bringing some patchy rain in places. So the clearest skies generally reserved for the north and northwest of the UK. Plenty of clear spells up across the north and west of Scotland, but as a result of the clear skies here, temperatures at their lowest could get down to -5°C in one or two spots here by Monday morning. When it's towards the south and east of the UK with a cloud around, temperatures generally holding up just above freezing, so the frost here much more patchy. So we start Monday with plenty of sunshine towards the north and west of Scotland, further south and east across the country, a bit more cloud around, the odd spot of rain in places, and fairly cloudy too for parts of Northern Ireland, and variable cloud as we head south into England and Wales, thickest towards the south and southwest of the UK. Here we can see one or two showers to start the day on Monday, but as I say, the frost will tend to be quite patchy here. As we go through the rest of the day on Monday, the sunshine towards the northwest will tend to fade. The cloud increases from the south and southeast. Elsewhere, though, a fair bit of cloud around, particularly towards the south and west of the UK. One or two showers down towards the southwest. And the sky starting to clear across the east and southeast of England. The dry air starts to move in from the near continent. Plenty of sunshine here into the afternoon. But temperatures still struggling, no higher than 7 to 10 Celsius. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. Tuesday looks like getting off to a pretty frosty start, a lot of clear weather around, but we will see plenty of sunshine then as we go through the day on Tuesday. Just a small risk of a shower towards the far north and northeast of the UK. And temperatures on the rise as we go through the week. By the middle to end of the week, could see temperatures in the high teens in one or two spots. Plenty of sunshine, but rain by Friday.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Can LGBTQ+ activism be used as a cover for predators? This week, Stephen Ireland, co-founder of Pride in Surrey, was convicted of raping a 12-year-old boy he met on Grindr. He was also found guilty of multiple child sex offences, including making indecent images of children. His partner, David Sutton, was convicted of possessing child abuse material and extreme pornography. Ireland was a well-known LGBTQ+ activist with ties to educational organisations. While Pride in Surrey has condemned his actions, this case raises a question. Are predators exploiting inclusive spaces to commit crimes? I'm joined now by Assistant Editor of The Critic, Jo Bartosz. Jo, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Jo. But I know it's a very serious matter, but we have some fans who just want to say hello to you before as well. There they are. We've got your posse in tonight.
Oh, that's lovely.
Jo, you wrote an article this week for Spiked Online, which basically argues that case that I just laid out in the intro, right?
Yes. I mean, I think when you have any group of people in society who can't be questioned, whether that's priests or whether that's people who do great works for charity, like Jamie Savile, you create a problem. So, whereas once people might have been worried about being condemned to hell if they criticised a Catholic priest, I think there is now a similar sort of reverence for those who claim to be queer, whatever that means. And I also think it's entirely fair enough to ask what is actually covered by the QT+. Because, that's actually not clear. And there are some people who argue that, for example, identities like minor attractive people, which are essentially paedophiles, that they ought to be included with the TQ+. So it does attract lots of, it can cover some really nefarious groups and some really unpleasant people. And it provides some cover in the same way as religion or anything else has in the past. So we really need to be looking at these groups and making sure that we apply safeguarding rules no matter the sort of social cost.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? Exactly, that where there is this blurring of boundaries and when people want to erase safeguarding, that is really where we should be looking the closest. And of course, because we now live in a culture where you can't criticise, supposedly, like that the holy status is the LGBTQ+, then to do any criticism of them would, of course, land you being labelled a bigot. And I believe this person, Stephen Ireland, he actually had a charity called Educate and Celebrate, which went into schools and universities. And that seems very troublesome to what he might have been teaching in those places.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's darker than that somewhat. So Educate and Celebrate are now defunct, but they went into schools across the country and into nurseries even, teaching essentially what's known as queer theory. And one of their other patrons is Peter Tatchell, and he was known for writing an infamous letter in which he said, several of my friends, gay and straight, male and female, had sex with adults from the ages of 9 to 14. None feel they were abused. That was in a letter to The Guardian. He says it's misinterpreted, but I think it's there in black and white. So there are these characters who attach themselves to the QT, just in the same way as the Paedophile Information Exchange once attached itself to the LGB movement. So, we really need to be aware and we need to scrutinise these organisations. And we also need to be asking questions about what sort of person does think that a child can consent to, for example, puberty blockers? And why would they want a child to consent to taking puberty blockers? Because it keeps their bodies in a state of immaturity. So that might be a deeply unpleasant and difficult thing to tackle. But I do think we need to start asking why and who benefits from trans activism.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, is that... it should be pointed out, you're not saying, I'm not saying, I don't think anybody is saying that gay people or trans people or any people are paedophiles, of course, apart from paedophiles, or any other kind of, bestiality or whatever it is that might be included. But that's the issue, is the open-endedness of this Q and this plus. And by latching themselves onto the LGB, then you're going to see this problem where any criticism of one thing is suddenly taken up as a sort of a criticism of the other. And that's almost seems like a deliberate thing. That's the way it's been set up.
I mean, the worst thing you can be in this society is phobic or a bigot. And it is true that, there were horrible slurs directed at gay men many years ago, which suggested that they were paedophiles. And obviously that's horrific and that's wrong. But I think that sort of cultural legacy is now a hangover. And I think activists have exploited that. And I think there are some really questionable themes running through, in particular, trans activism.
Yeah. So, because going back to a point that you were making earlier about this undefinability of the Q and the plus, I believe there was a book released a few weeks ago by a self-declared queer, someone who identifies as queer. This is under the aegis of, I think, queer theory, and they are a British fellow member and they are a professor at university, and they've released a book called Loving Animals, Bestiality, Zoophilia, something like that. And then it was even had a review in the London Book Review, which talks about how it's all about how sexual relations between animals and humans doesn't have to be abusive. And you could buy this in Waterstones. So the idea is, of course, now you might get people who identify as Q saying, no, the Q just stands for this one or two things. But, of course, being open-ended, they don't get to define who actually is part of this queue, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I've just submitted a manuscript. I've co-authored a book on pornography, and I am absolutely 100% sure that pornography is driving a lot of these niche fetishes, because people go online and they become more and more immersed in their fantasies, and it takes over their lives. So I think we are seeing a huge rise in quite sort of niche and damaging and abusive behaviours that is being driven by pornography in part.
Yeah. The irony, of course, with the Stephen Island cases, I believe that Lisa Townsend, they tried to get her fired for sort of accusing her of being a bigot, and because she was calling out for these kind of safeguarding, and then they actually they sort of went after her to get her kicked out of her job, and then it turns out they're the ones, of course, who unfortunately are abusive towards children.
Yeah, so they, I mean, I think anyone who sort of questions people who try to bring up safeguarding concerns deserves a bit of a side eye. Okay. So they set up a specific group and reported to her.
I'm just going to have to cut you off. Joe Bartosz, thank you so much for coming. Guys, see you in a couple of minutes. We've got a great show.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We've got plenty of fine weather in store across the UK during the week ahead. Temperatures on the rise too, but later in the week things will be turning more unsettled. High pressure is in charge at the moment, giving us the quiet conditions. This weather front, though, starting to push down from the north, introducing some cloud to some parts of England and Wales, and that's certainly the case as we go through the evening into the overnight period. A fair bit of cloud pushing its way south-westwards across England and Wales, bringing some patchy rain in places. So the clearest sky is generally reserved for the north and northwest of the UK. Plenty of clear spells up across the north and west of Scotland. But as a result of the clear skies here, temperatures at their lowest could get down to -5 Celsius in one or two spots here by Monday morning. When it's towards the south and east of the UK with a cloud around, temperatures generally holding up just above freezing, so the frost here much more patchy. So we start Monday with plenty of sunshine towards the north and west of Scotland, further south and east across the country, a bit more cloud around, the odd spot of rain in places, and fairly cloudy too for parts of Northern Ireland, and variable cloud as we head south into England and Wales, thickest towards the south and southwest of the UK. Here we can see one or two showers to start the day on Monday, but as I say, the frost will tend to be quite patchy here. As we go through the rest of the day on Monday, the sunshine towards the northwest will tend to fade, as cloud increases from the south and southeast. Elsewhere though, a fair bit of cloud around, particularly towards the south and west of the UK, one or two showers down towards the southwest. And the sky is starting to clear across the east and southeast of England. The dry air starts to move in from the near continent. Plenty of sunshine here into the afternoon, but temperatures still struggling, no higher than 7 to 10 Celsius. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. Tuesday looks like getting off to a pretty frosty start, a lot of clear weather around, but we will see plenty of sunshine then as we go through the day on Tuesday. Just a small risk of a shower towards the far north and northeast of the UK. And temperatures on the rise as we go through the week. By the middle to end of the week, could see temperatures in the high teens in one or two spots. Plenty of sunshine, but rain by Friday.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could be the next big winner of the Great British Giveaway, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag, and not one, but 2 sought-after designer watches, so you can style it out this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Plenty more still to come on Free Speech Nation. A school founded by a Nazi refugee cancelled a talk from a Jewish writer over concerns that pupils would find his presence distressing. Disney has been trying to shield their new Snow White film from a critical onslaught prior to its release, and this week's social sensations that you will not want to miss. But before all of that, let's get the latest headlines with Aaron Armstrong.
Hello there, very good evening to your top stories. The Health Secretary says too many people are being signed off work as a result of what he's described as an over-diagnosis of mental health conditions. He's been defending the government's attempt to reduce the benefits bill ahead of a series of welfare reforms to be announced this week. There's speculation that could include freezing personal independence payments or tightening the rules regarding eligibility for the disability allowance. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, has said the government's determined to get more people into work. Well, Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall expected to announce reforms on Tuesday aimed at cutting the welfare bill that ministers have described as unsustainable. Reports today have claimed the government's considering a U-turn on personal independence payments in the face of opposition from Labour MPs and division from within the Cabinet. A 7-day period of mourning has been declared in North Macedonia after the deaths of at least 59 people in a fire at a nightclub. Footage has emerged that appears to show the fire being triggered by the use of special effects pyrotechnics during a concert by DNK, a popular hip-hop duo in the country. Well, angry relatives have been gathering outside hospital In the town, more than 20 people are currently under investigation, 15 of whom are in police custody. The injured, more than 150 of them, have been flown to hospital in the capital, Skopje. The country's Interior Ministry says a preliminary investigation has revealed the club was operating without a proper licence. The Pope says he's facing a period of trial as he's issued his traditional Sunday prayers again from hospital. Pope Francis has thanked worshippers for their prayers and expressed gratitude to those who've assisted him with such dedication. The Pope's being treated in Rome. Doctors say he's no longer in a critical condition. He was admitted to hospital in February with bronchitis and was later diagnosed with double pneumonia. St Patrick's Day celebrations have been taking place in London with the annual Mayor's Parade. Well, thousands of people joined the procession as it's made its way from Hyde Park Corner to Whitehall and then to Trafalgar Square. Performers of all ages showcasing everything good about Irish culture. We have spoken to some of those who've been turning the city green. We'll bring you what they've had to say a little bit later this evening. And Newcastle have finally ended a 70-year wait for a domestic trophy with a victory over Liverpool at Wembley in the Carabao Cup final. Dan Byrne, local boy, selected for England this week, put the Magpies in front on the stroke of half-time. And Alexander Isak made it 2-0 7 minutes after the break. Newcastle held on despite a late Liverpool goal. This is their first trophy since 1969 and their first domestic trophy since the 1955 FA Cup. Congratulations to Newcastle. The celebrations, no doubt, will go long into the night here in London and indeed in Newcastle. More from me in an hour's time.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Plenty more to come in this hour, but first we're going to start with some questions from the audience. Our first question's from John.
Should politics be left out of aisle number 8?
Yes, should politics be left out of aisle number 8? So this is the story of Ben Woods, a Waitrose wine expert, claims he was suspended for expressing his conservative views on social media, including sharing a cartoon from The Telegraph and supporting Reform UK. So, John, do you like your politics with a little bit of supermarket sweep?
Yeah, why not? I'm a regular Telegraph reader, and I thought that was one of the funniest cartoons.
Yes, it was
recent
about
times.
the 47 out of the 200 genders or something. I think.
That's right. Well, I always think that this business about there being all those hundreds of genders, it's a bit like how many angels can dance on the point of a pin. It's the same sort of question.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is what we're seeing, Nick, of course, is people being fired for wrongthink.
Yeah, this guy's got a big Twitter account, good account, which means he follows me, and it's great. But this idea that you can't be at Waitrose and have what are actually very mainstream political opinions and retweet the Telegraph, absolutely insane. And I understand why people are tense. Like, someone came up to me in the supermarket the other day. This is not even working in it, just shopping in it. And he said to me, "Are you on GB News?" And I went, "Maybe," which is weird. And then I said to him, "I'm on lots of channels," which isn't even true, right? But I was worried because I was like, is it kind of in a he's about to egg me way? Turned out he'd seen me on there, but on mute, so it was fine. So he didn't know what I was saying. But I was worried even just from that. So I understand the tension, but you're working at Waitrose. Some people have said to me, because I've got a video out about this from Headliners, people said to me, "Oh, you don't understand, Nick. He had his uniform in some of his tweets and he said he worked at Waitrose." Like, even if he did, he's not a judge. Okay, this is the home of civil liberties, England. Like, you're in England, you're serving wine and you can't have mainstream political opinions. To me, that's obscene.
Nick, he might have been sort of recommending some right-wing wine.
Yes, that is a danger. I didn't think it through. You're right.
Yeah.
I changed
Just
my mind.
white wine.
Yeah, Steve.
That's why we sometimes...
We still do jokes on this show.
Red wine's not here to represent itself.
That's right. Impartiality. Red wine is sleeping in the corner. What do you think about this, Steve? Should people lose their jobs for following Nick?
Well,
online.
no. I mean, he seems to have used social media to express the opinions of people who shop in Waitrose. Like, demographically, surely they should notice, because they sell the Telegraph, don't they? So every day when they have, like, a big pile and there's fewer of them at the end of it, they should have worked out that people who shop there aren't that offended that they refuse to even look at such a cartoon. So it wasn't that offensive. It's not like it was illegal. If it was printed on the front page of a newspaper, surely you are allowed to share it.
Yes. I go to Marks & Spencer, not out of loyalty to GB, but I don't even go in Waitrose. And I won't if they get rid of this guy. I think they suspended him, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean...
Have they suspended him yet, or is he going in for a meeting that he might possibly be suspended? I don't know what the latest is.
I don't know. I take it back.
Of the two. They are
satirical content.
No, but they have... It's just that they've opened an investigation into him. I'm just not sure.
Okay.
And hopefully the Waitrose leadership are watching the channel and
don't sue us, which is crucial, but they agree with us.
Right, fine.
Aren't they owned by John Lewis, which is John Lewis and Partners, so they outnumber us. So there's a lot of them. Let's not upset them.
Right, fair enough. A Waitrose spokesman said we would never discuss individuals, so I'm afraid no further comments will be made.
Oh.
OK, thank you for that. Our next question is from Christine.
Hi, is religion important when it comes to teaching kids?
Yeah, does religion matter when it comes to teaching kids? So, yeah, this is the story of Sir Hamid Patel, a CEO of Star Academy's Trust. He's been appointed the interim chairman of Ofsted, marking the first time a religious school leader holds the role. Despite past criticism over inviting a controversial cleric, Mr Patel is respected for his leadership and has served on the Ofsted's board since 2019. He leads a trust of nearly 40 schools, including Islamic and Christian institutions. His appointment comes amid scrutiny of Ofsted's inspection methods, with Patel pledging to uphold educational standards. So this story came out this week. Do you think this is a particular issue?
I think that someone in that position should either be atheist or a Christian, as we are a Christian country, or even if you're not a practicing Christian, you follow a Christian culture. So you could be from any other religion. But it just seems, in that case, to please everybody, should be someone who is not so obviously following one particular religion, unless it's a Christian one.
OK, well, nice bit of impartiality there. Well, this is the thing, is for me personally, it would be about how good they are at their job and ensuring if they are religious, Christian, Jew, Muslim, that they don't bring that to the table in terms of how it's going to have an impact on students. That would be my concern. And it's rightly, in terms of, I wouldn't want, like, an Orthodox or Hasidic Jew necessarily to suddenly become the Ofsted thing. But really, if this person is very good at their job and they don't bring their religion to try and foist it on students, then is there a problem here?
Well, I suppose what you're saying is time will tell. Judged by actions, not by looks. A lot of the coverage in the press has been about how he looks, and actually what
we need is...
Yeah, what we need is analysis of how he acts. And you can't, sadly, you can't even just compare it to how he's acted as the head of a school, because actually you're saying, how good are you in this job?
Yeah.
But as long as it's, keep an eye on it, then I guess it should be all right. It's an interim position anyway.
Well, I mean, the concerns would be that in the past, one of the schools he ran first of all, brought in a very controversial preacher, I believe, who, said the usual stuff about Jews, and also encouraged the students, the female students, to wear the hijab outside of the school premises.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I don't think that this person he's come in and that's his day one announcement. Great, I'm here, and now everybody wear the hijab.
No, that's day two. But yeah, he also discouraged the non-Islamic stationery, bringing it into school, like of pop stars and things like that, as well at that school. Yes, so questionable for many people. But then again, he did show concern about white working-class boys falling behind at GCSE maths and English. So maybe he's our guy. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I mean, look, when he did that, he did it at a religious school. I'm sure he can delineate between being the headmaster of a religious school and, of course, now running all schools. And he seems like he's very... by all accounts, he's very, very good at his job. And that, for me, is always going to be the priority here.
It's interesting. So you said that even though they had that visitor to the school,
as long
who was
as
a YouTuber who was, as you say, not...
Well, if there's evidence of... If there's any evidence of him taking his ideology to other schools... I mean, look, I don't like it that it was in that particular school, But if there's any evidence of using that position or his position to further his ideology over education, or just further his ideology at all, then yes, I believe there is a problem. But I just haven't seen evidence of that outside of being headmaster of a religious school. But as you say, we will see, I guess. OK. Right. Let's move on to our next question, which is from... Oh, it's standing up. He's going for it. He's getting ready. Go. Ryan!
Firstly, happy birthday, Josh.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Secondly, my question is that an all-party parliamentary group is trying to cancel mummies from being displayed. Is this just another example of woke madness?
Yes. So now the word mother is offensive. They're trying to ban mummies. Different type, fair enough. This is the story of MPs calling for a ban on displaying Egyptian mummies and human remains in UK museums, claiming they were looted and used for racist research. The group demands the remains to be returned to their countries of origin, citing harm to the diaspora communities. They also urge legal changes to prevent the sale and display of such remains. The MPs are advocating for reparations related to British colonialism. So, when was the last time you went to the British Museum and saw a mummy there?
It's been a little while, but I remember when I was younger, and it was part of a rich sort of education, and I think it was really important to see that. And I think if it becomes an offence, then it's just another thing that's going to bog down the police. You know, they're policing, you know, our speech as it is, and it's just a complete waste of time. Why are these parliamentary groups looking into things that don't add any value?
Well, that is a very good question. But also, there might be something here. Someone might make some money by sort of starting a pub where you're allowed to say that there are two biological sexes, but also in the corner there's a mummy. You can have a look at. I don't know. I'm a capitalist. What can I say? Yeah, this exactly. Well, that's a great question. Why are our MPs wasting time on this kind of stuff?
I don't know why they are. I'd love to be able to just travel a little bit back in time before anyone mentions it to see who's offended by it. Because as soon as it's a topic, then I'm sure you can find someone online who thinks it's a thing. But if you can find anyone who was like, do you know what really offends me? Yeah. The mummies. That's not the top of anyone. I don't go to the museum either. It's just half the argument about returning some stuff, which is fine. I can have that argument. It would be great to hand the Elgin's marbles back so I don't have to talk about it every 3 weeks. But this is slightly different about the fact that some people find it offensive. I don't know. I search for mummies in my area online and I have a great time.
Well, I can actually answer your question, Steve, of who finds it offensive. They said it may offend the wishes of the ancestors. So they sound like shaman, but these are actually MPs saying that. Isn't that incredible? Also, if you're in this country, can't get behind the country you're in. One of the great things about this country is all the cool stuff we've got. You know, some of it we might have taken from various parts of the world, but that's just because we were awesome. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, that's a good idea. Maybe
Empire's back.
Maybe we'll have some kind of séance, and we get together and say, like, do you mind? They're like, actually, you know what? I was a bit of an extrovert when I was alive, so I'm totally fine. Right, next question is from Anton. There he is.
Should we worry about turtles having mental health?
Yes, should we worry about turtles' mental health or being on mental health boards? So this is the story of J.D. Holt, a member of Oregon's Health Authority Council, stirring controversy by stating that they identify as they, them, and turtle. It's a true story. Holt, also known as J.D. Terrapin, explained that their turtle gender identity is part of who they are. Holt has also promoted anarchist views and obstructing immigration enforcement. That's all fine. It's really the turtle stuff we want to talk about here. The Oregon Health Authority defended the council, valuing all members' perspectives, even those of turtles.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but the sentence, I identify as turtle, means you need a poo. That's the only reason. Surely it's just a euphemism, isn't it? What bothers me about stories like that is turtle is not a pronoun. Oh, it's a pronoun is the word that you put in place of a noun. A turtle is a noun. Why? Can we teach that before we then get into the next bit?
Yeah. The thing that winds me up of many things within this story is I remember a couple of years ago I had some people online attacking me because there were two girls who had recorded a teacher and they'd been talking about someone identifying as a cat.
Yeah.
And as usual, beardy, middle-aged men come and say, that's all just right-wing conspiracy. No one identifies as a cat or a thing. And here you go, someone identifying. There's even like Wikipedia entries of all the different animals that you identify. And
number one, I don't think we should attack middle-aged beardy men, but that's a side side issue.
But you only identify as a middle-aged.
I'm quite young. But this person said, so this was tortoise gender, or turtle gender, and apparently that's where one may feel their gender is replaced by a turtle. How can your gender be replaced by a turtle? That's an animal. It's incredible. And there's another bit I liked about the Oregon statute says every member of the Oregon Consumer Advisory Council is someone with lived experience. Every living person has lived experience. I know the actual immigration thing is a little bit irrelevant because this person wanted to disrupt immigration services and shout things at the officers and stuff. It's like, do you really think MS-13 are going to be on board with the whole turtle thing?
No.
Right?
My understanding is she wanted to get rid of seagulls.
Right. That makes more sense.
Can I just say as well, though, just for balance, I used to identify as a tortoise, but eventually I really came out my shell.
Thank you.
Slow clap.
Oh, man, the sad thing is that we've got to go to a break now, and I'm afraid that we're going to lose most of our audience from that joke. So... Come back, though, to our social sensations, and also we have Jewish journalist and writer Jonathan Sacerdotes' talk being cancelled. Can you think why? He'll tell you in just a moment. See you in a couple minutes.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point.
He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
And the BAFTA-winning actress, Daisy May Cooper, isn't holding back about what she thinks about Shakespeare. She thinks it's time to ditch the lot.
Well, comparing his plays to studying EastEnders in 600 years' time, she says that kids would be better off learning from TV dramas. But is she onto something, or is the Bard still a class act?
Sometimes it's better not to say anything, isn't it? Anyway, joining us to discuss this is the lifestyle journalist and parenting expert, Annette Kello. Annette, is studying Shakespeare these days the same as if you forced children in 600 years' time to study Pat Butcher?
Exactly. I mean, Pat Butcher's earrings to start with, maybe studying those in 600 years. But I think while she has a point that it is very old, I think we need to bring it up to speed and not scrap it, but reimagine it so that people today can learn it. The plays are quite long, which might be quite hard for kids to decipher. But I do think there's something in keeping it. We know that there's loads of words. I think it's 1,700 words that Shakespeare invented. And come on, which ones do you know? Swagger?
Oh, we were talking...
Addiction?
This is cheating, because we were talking a bit about this in the break. But assassination, critic, majestic...
Swagger.
and phrases, like, it's all Greek to me. I mean, these things that just roll off the tongue. I mean, it's so important, actually, for understanding our own language more than anything else.
Exactly, and actually Jay-Z quoted that he takes inspiration from Shakespeare because apparently there's something to do with the rhythm that is similar to rapping. So I think things like that can be a really good lesson for children to kind of get in the zone with it because it's quite hard to learn otherwise.
I mean, I can imagine it's very hard to teach Shakespeare these days to young children because they are the TikTok generation.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. An elite school in Wales, founded by a Jewish refugee who fled Nazi Germany, has sparked outrage after cancelling a talk by a Jewish journalist. He was invited to speak about journalism and anti-Semitism at UWC Atlantic, but at the last minute, the school pulled the plug because a group of pro-Palestine students complained that his presence would be distressing. Yet a respected journalist whose father survived the Holocaust was deemed too controversial to even speak in person. I'm joined with Jonathan himself and Junior Research Fellow at the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy, Harry Saul. So, Jonathan, please, first of all, just tell us this story, because it blows my mind.
It's a very strange story because I was invited specifically to talk about anti-Semitism post-October the 7th at the school. I think there was a feeling among some students at that school who were from Jewish or Israeli backgrounds that they'd been rather underrepresented in the previous 17 months. And it's a school made up of pupils from all around the world, from very special backgrounds like royal families down to refugees from war zones themselves. And through a system of scholarships, they managed to educate them all together. So it has this very special vision, apparently, of spreading understanding of different groups and different peoples. But apparently that doesn't count for Jews, because when it came time to book me, they had 3 meetings with me, 3 very long meetings over Zoom and the phone, trying to explain the sensitivities of the crowd and the things I could and couldn't talk about. But then at the last minute, they just told me, actually, you can't come here. It's a safeguarding issue. The children will feel unsafe from your presence, and all you can do is submit a pre-recorded video if you like. I did decline that, but I felt that really this was the opposite of the mission of that school. And I have since discovered, actually, that they had another talk before me, which they did the same thing with. They had it was meant to be 2 people, a Jew and a Muslim, who had come in together to present 2 sides of an experience, and they even cancelled them. So I'm not really sure what their defence can be for cancelling both of these talks.
I mean, what kind of terrible, traumatic things would you have told the students then?
It's hard to know. I did ask, actually, what they felt was threatening about me or what they were afraid of, especially as if I could be there in a video but not in person. It implied somehow that actually my person, me being in the room with the children, was somehow endangering them, albeit emotionally, apparently. I think, in truth, I don't even know if it was a group of children who were the problem, or if it was perhaps some of the teachers or staff who'd made the decision on their behalf. And I have heard since then, by the way, from many people who've been to that school in the past. It's a special-sounding school, and people stay attached to it for all of their lives. But quite a few of them have been writing to me saying that actually this isn't really a freak event. It's not something that is an anomaly. It's something which actually they feel has been happening for some years in that school, and that's even more worrying, I must say.
Well, it might not just be this particular school. It might have been happening really in all of our schools in terms of fostering any level of debate or a deeper understanding into some of these issues. And that's why I guess it's so important, exactly, that you go out there. Maybe you're in a school where someone's never met someone who's Jewish before. If you can just sort of sit there and just explain some of the issues that are surrounding some of the things they might have seen on social media, surely that's a good thing in terms of fighting the narrative.
One of the most extraordinary things, actually, they said to me in the conversations was that there was a possibility that some of the pupils who come from war zones or places that were actually directly affected by what's going on in the Middle East might say something that I would perceive as being anti-Semitic, and that might be bad for them in their reputation. So the idea was not even that the anti-Semitic statement aimed at me would be a problem and that there could be someone there who would say something racist. It was that it could be negatively impacting on that pupil, when in actual fact, I'll tell you, I've been in plenty of situations where I can give talks or even have met people one-on-one where they might say something anti-Semitic, but through conversation and dialogue and mutual understanding, it's often possible to explain to people why what they've said isn't necessarily correct and to have a proper discussion with them. And the thing about a pre-recorded video was I wouldn't see a single child. I wouldn't see how anyone was reacting to what I was saying. And that's what they'd asked me to be aware of. So it seemed like the worst possible solution to a made-up problem.
Well, this seems like a very opportune moment to bring in Harry. I saw you a few days ago. There was a protest and a counter-protest in front of the LSE because there's been a book published there, or it wasn't published there, it was released there, basically called Understanding Hamas, which seems like an incredible... I don't really want to understand rapist terrorists myself, but it was a counter-protest between... There was pro-Palestinians there, and on the other side were Jewish and Israelis and supporters as well, and non-Jewish supporters. And very interestingly, you got up and you gave a speech. I thought it was very brave of you, actually. And
a very good speech.
A very good speech, where you mentioned your book being sold only 3 times, and but you were basically saying, no, this event should happen. And I thought that was very brave in front of a bunch of people who were there I don't know if everybody who was there protesting about the event was wanting it to be cancelled necessarily, but I thought still it was quite a thing to stand up in front of people and say, you know what, this event should happen. Could you talk me through that?
Absolutely, and what a privilege it is for you, I'm sure, to have two troublemakers on your panel.
Well,
I will say that it is not incumbent on good people to expedite the expulsion of bad people, or in this case, these intellectual masturbators, from the arena of what is intellectually acceptable and what is respectable. In that regard, they're doing a splendid job in their own right, and we should let them get on with it. I, in fact, think that they will be the architects of their own intellectual downfall, and to that end, sunlight is the best disinfectant. I'll also say that which person might any of you here trust to determine what is and what is not acceptable? Could it be some bureaucrat working at home in his bedroom for the Home Office to determine what is and what is not acceptable? Or some administrator at some university ridden with DEI things? Would we trust those people? I am of the view, and perhaps I'm horribly misanthropic, or maybe I'm just horrible, take your pick, but I trust nobody to determine what is and what is not acceptable. Yes, but those academics are foul, they're ghastly. The way they wrote a book which exonerates the most heinous barbarism we've seen in years is, frankly, inexcusable, and it is an outrage to common sense and human decency. But the best way for us to deal with bad ideas, with the ideas of totalitarianism, is with better ideas, by promoting and advancing the cause of democracy, liberalism and free speech. And I will say, on a final note, that the road to hell is often paved with good intentions, and totalitarianism often is actualised in the name of good intentions. And I think we ignore that message at our own peril.
So, well, look, very inspired, some people here. Now, guys, we're going to make Jonathan feel, but you didn't give him a round of applause. So, I mean, Jonathan, there could be a way of sort of killing two birds with one stone here. We could get this book launch moved to the school that kicked you out. And well, there isn't a parallel, really, with what's going on here and what happened to you. But are you a free speech absolutist as well in this way? Or is this actually about free speech as such? Or do you think that the LSE are adding validity to a book called Understanding Hamas by having the event there?
I think the problem with the book, by the way, is that it doesn't really help your understanding of Hamas if you read it, because it's a very selective, kind of slightly fantasised version of Hamas, and it doesn't really talk about the group's origins properly. It may have been founded in 1987 by the Palestinians, but in actual fact, it's an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, which had been banned from Egypt and then found fertile ground in Gaza. Then they started the Mujama al-Islamiyah, which was a sort of group intended to build a solid Islamic Palestinian identity, and that in turn then formed into Hamas, which was the militarized terrorist wing. But that was always the intention. Jihadism is what lies behind all three of those groups that I've mentioned, and jihadism has often worked in that way. When al-Banna started the Muslim Brotherhood, that was exactly the way in which he did it. He started with civil life, he started with universities, education, hospitals, dentists, schools, but of course the plan, and mosques of course, was always to expand that out once you've built the network for jihad, killing Jews, holy war, spreading Islam. That's what Hamas does. So the book itself, in that respect, in my opinion, is complete junk. And that's why a university like LSE probably shouldn't have been hosting an event about it. It's not about freedom of speech. Freedom of speech says anyone saying anything legal should be allowed to. But a university platforming or making an event around something which is quite obviously really very faulty, justifying terrorism, trying to remove anti-Semitism from the very nature and core of Hamas, all of those things, that's what's problematic to me. And I think that university really should hang its head in shame for having done that.
Well, look, the LSE aren't here to give a reply. What I will say is possibly that event should have gone ahead, but it should have had you two there arguing the case on the other side. Thank you so much for joining us. I just have to... Let's do the round of applause now, and then I'll do the same. A spokesperson, by the way, from UWC Atlantic released the following statement. The safety and well-being of our students remain our highest priority. We have a deep responsibility to ensure all discussions are conducted with sensitivity. Well, thank you very much to my guests. That was an excellent debate. Coming up shortly, though, we have your best social sensations of the week. But next on Free Speech Nation, the Bechdel test has been created as a joke, but it's now being used as a serious barometer of films. We have a very special guest making their debut. You don't want to miss it. See you in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Thank you.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello there, welcome to your latest winter sun forecast. After the recent warmth across the Eastern Med, it is cooling down here, but still plenty of fine weather for parts of Turkey, Cyprus and the Greek islands. A little bit more unsettled for the rest of Greece and Italy, but especially so far Iberia, some very heavy rain coming here during the first part of the week. But after some recent unsettled weather for the Canaries, it is warming up here. Plenty of fine weather to come with highs in Tenerife, 23 degrees.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, taking care of your skin and body is one of the best ways to get in shape for the warmer days ahead. But what are the celeb secrets behind a glow-up? And what latest trends are the A-listers following to look and feel their best? Well, joining us now to share some of those secrets is the founder of Celebrity Skin Talk, Scott McGlynn. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Right, so...
Spill it.
Here
Tell
we
us
go.
all your secrets.
Well, the main thing is hydration, OK? We've heard it so many times before. Having water daily is a must. I have 15 cups of water a day. It's a must.
What size cup are we talking? Like one of these little ones?
Well, the regular, you know, a bit more bigger than that.
A bit bigger than that. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I knew you were coming, Scott, so I came prepared today so you wouldn't tell me off. I've got my big bottle of water.
Check it out.
2 of these a day.
Yeah, and yours is time, which is really cool.
Yeah, it is. It has all my times. I am slightly behind, but then I have been presenting a news show for the last hour and 40 minutes. So,
so you're forgiving.
So I'm cracking on. Aside from water, what else can we be doing to protect our skin? That's the thing that I'm really big on. I wear Factor 50 on my face every day.
Really?
Every single
day? So even in the winter?
Yeah. No matter what, because the UV is still coming through, isn't it? No matter what time of year it is. So it's so important. I'm 27 now. Give my age away on the telly there. But I'm 27 and I think skincare at a young age is so important. So please agree with me and say... Please tell me I'm doing the right thing.
Hydration, what else do we need to do?
Well, the hydration, the SPF is a good point, OK? So I'm Celtic all over. So I'm Welsh, Scottish, Irish, so me and the sun do not go on.
Likewise,
so I'm always a 50 person anyway. If it's raining, snowing, whatever the weather, still wear your SPF. It's a must. And people do not know that the UV rays from our phones, our flat screens, TVs, these is aging us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here with an exclusive opportunity just for you, our incredible GB News viewers. We're giving you the opportunity to win a VIP studio tour right here at GB News HQ. Plus, you'll also get to meet yours truly. It's easy to enter, just head to gbnews.com/community competition and follow the easy steps. Don't miss out, enter now, and I'll see you soon at GB News. Full T's and C's apply.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Now, in this spot, we sometimes have the eminently qualified David Oldroyd-Bolt to discuss events in the world of opera and arts and galleries and we're missing a lot of great stuff out as well. So I'm delighted that this week we have the debut of one of my favourite online critics, the legend that is the Critical Drinker. There he is, hey.
Hello, how's it going?
Welcome to the show and to the channel as well. I've watched you for many years online, and it's wonderful to have you here. This week, I guess the big story, and it's been going on for quite a while now, is Snow White seems to be finally emerging into the world.
Yes. It's been a long time coming. It's been a year of reshoots and desperate scrambling on behalf of Disney to try and salvage something from this film after tremendous backlash online about it. But it's finally here, and we're about to experience Snow White, I guess, so it's going to be an interesting week.
I have a sort of idea of you on day one, surrounded by kids, and you just sitting in the middle with a bottle of whiskey or something. I think the first reviews actually have come out. Of course, this could be all sort of the studio doing their thing, saying that it's okay or it's not as the disaster that we might have thought. But I guess we're not going to really know for a few more days.
Pretty much, yeah. There is a review embargo on it until the day before it releases, which is usually a bad sign. If they are confident in their movie, they will allow people to review it weeks ahead of time. So this isn't a good sign for the film's quality.
Yeah, and I also understand there's a protest this week with little people, I think that's what, protesting because they lost out on jobs. They made the characters CGI, and I think, you know, it's called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and they were sort of like, let's save some money.
Well, I don't think it was that. I think they were originally set to have real, dwarf actors in it, and then Peter Dinklage decided that he was offended by the idea of dwarf actors being cast as dwarves, and decided that he was going to weigh in on this situation, and so Disney had to scrap that whole plan and replace them with CGI creations that I can only describe as nightmare fuel. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen what those things look like. They are horrifying. So, yeah, that does not add to the buzz around this movie in the slightest, sadly.
Do you think that this is sort of symptomatic of what we've seen the last few years? Of course, a film like this, films take a long time to be made, and then they're written kind of 5 years ago or even maybe longer, but through the process, as it was made, it was kind of the centre of the woke hell that we're kind of slowly emerging from. But now, because of the time delay on it, we're now seeing the release of these projects. So do you think, because of this time delay, we've essentially got 2 years of just terrible films and TV coming out?
Pretty much, yeah. As you said, films take a number of years to go from conception all the way through shooting, post-production, and then finally to release. And so there's definitely a realization in Hollywood now that the culture has shifted, and this stuff that they've been pushing for the past 5 or 10 years, it isn't working. They know it's not working now, and they're desperately trying to course correct, but it takes time. And so there's a certain number of films and TV shows that are in the pipeline. They were too late to change. They just have to get them out there and suffer through them, unfortunately, take the hit until they can get to making the better stuff. And Snow White is absolutely born out of that era. It is a film that is shockingly out of place now in our culture.
Yeah. And the only positive I can really find is that it's actually probably a good time to discover the quality stuff. Like, you put out a video this week about Firefly. There are plenty of amazing TV shows that maybe never got the what they deserved critically and commercially. So maybe this is the time to kind of have a few years to really re-examine that stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. I've said many times before, we did not realize how good we had it back in the day. And, shows like Firefly are a great example of that. That period in the 90s and the 2000s for TV, for movies, it was absolutely fantastic when we look back on it. You can pick any year from those eras, and there was absolute classic movies. We're not really getting that now. And so I would always say to people, yeah, take the time, go back, find some great movies from a particular era. It could be like all the way back to the 70s, the 60s, even the 50s. There's fantastic movies in all those different eras. And do not let those pass you by just because they're older.
Yeah, and another clip that came out this week, I think, was Jessica Chastain, who I think is a very good actress. She was talking about the Bechdel test. We're actually just going to show the little clip here.
Listen, I can't only say I'm going to do movies that pass that test because the scripts aren't out there, sadly. But I will say that I'm going to do films where my character's actively participating in the world around her. Recently worked with a filmmaker who I love, and we were talking, and he said, "You know what, Jessica?" No, I didn't bring it up at all. He goes, "You know, someone was..."
So, can you just explain this Bechdel test? Because people have taken it as reality, as real.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a hypothetical test to assess the representation of female characters in a movie. And the idea is in order to pass the test, you have to have at least 2 named female characters who discuss something that is nothing to do with a man. And that conversation has to last for a couple of minutes. And so it's like the idea that women can exist independently of men within the cinema realm. And that was just this complete arbitrary, standard that was set. And the original author of the test just did it as a bit of fun. It was a joke. But it's been picked up by like the mainstream press and people like Jessica Chastain there in Hollywood, who still to this day believe that it's an actual accurate representation of a film's quality and the quality of the script. So that's just hilarious, frankly.
There it is. Well, it's never ending. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you do come back again. I want to hear, hopefully there will be some great films and TV shows that do sort of creep through and somehow get through. White Lotus, of course, for one. But we'll talk about that another time. Critical Drinker there, a.k.a. Will Jordan. Thank you. Next on Free Speech Nation, it's social sensations, which you certainly do not want to miss. And we have an audience question as well. We'll see you in a sec.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We've got plenty of fine weather in store across the UK during the week ahead. Temperatures on the rise too, but later in the week things will be turning more unsettled. High pressure is in charge at the moment, giving us the quiet conditions. This weather front, though, starting to push down from the north, introducing some cloud to some parts of England and Wales, and that's certainly the case as we go through the evening into the overnight period. A fair bit of cloud pushing its way southwestwards across England and Wales, bringing some patchy rain in places. So the clearest skies generally reserved for the north and northwest of the UK. Plenty of clear spells up across the north and west of Scotland, but as a result of the clear skies here, temperatures at their lowest. Could get down to -5°C in 1 or 2 spots here by Monday morning. When it's towards the south and east of the UK with a cloud around, temperatures generally holding up just above freezing, so the frost here much more patchy. So we start Monday with plenty of sunshine towards the north and west of Scotland, further south and east across the country, a bit more cloud around, the odd spot of rain in places, and fairly cloudy too for parts of Northern Ireland, and variable cloud as we head south into England and Wales, thickest towards the south and southwest of the UK. Here we can see 1 or 2 showers to start the day on Monday, but as I say, the frost will tend to be quite patchy here. As we go through the rest of the day on Monday, the sunshine towards the northwest will tend to fade, as cloud increases from the south and southeast. Elsewhere though, a fair bit of cloud around, particularly towards the south and west of the UK, 1 or 2 showers down towards the southwest. And the sky starting to clear across the east and southeast of England as dry air starts to move in from the near continent. Plenty of sunshine here into the afternoon, but temperatures still struggling, no higher than 7 to 10°C. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. Tuesday looks like getting off to a pretty frosty start, a lot of clear weather around, but we will see plenty of sunshine then as we go through the day on Tuesday. Just a small risk of a shower towards the far north and northeast of the UK. And temperatures on the rise as we go through the week. By the middle to end of the week, could see temperatures in the high teens in 1 or 2 spots. Plenty of sunshine, but rain by Friday.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. It's time for Social Sensations, the part of the show where we take a look at what's been going viral this week on social media. First up is this video.
Armed with a pickaxe and sledgehammer in Seattle's Soto neighborhood, these two fellas went to town on this Tesla. The car was left in shambles with shattered windows, massive punctures, and tons of anti-Elon Musk graffiti.
We don't like what Elon Musk is doing.
This man would only give me his first name.
Nick, they bought a Tesla just to destroy it.
This is the first time you've just come to me. You think I'm like Musk's representative? Yeah. This is so lame, isn't it? I mean, Musk was like the hero of the left and everything. Then he suddenly has an opinion you don't like. He's on Trump's side. Now you're smashing up cars. And who's paying these people? Like, who's organising this? I have questions about it. Because Musk said they're going to try every dirty trick against me. Yeah. Lo and behold, they're smashing up cars.
They're giving him loads of money to then destroy his product. It was like people when they bought the Harry Potter books to burn them.
Yes,
it was like you're just giving the person money.
Surely Musk can't complain though, because that's, I think, the only car sale that he made recently. The figures have been down, so he's not going to complain about that one.
Well, actually, it's turned around because now Republicans are buying the car.
Buying electric. How do they not see this has been a long game?
Not just electric. Everything's computer, Steve. Everything's computer.
The dashboard. Everything's computer. Have you seen people playing the clips of Trump on the campaign trail saying how electric vehicles are terrible? They don't go very far. They still break down in a desert.
That's before he knew everything was computer.
No, the best bit, and I don't know. Oh, we should. There was someone's made up a very funny clip of Trump, sort of like a car salesman in front of the White House, and now I feel bad that I forgot to put it in. Sorry.
Imagine it.
Next up is this video.
And by the way, I have to speak of inflation. I love these socks. What's with these socks?
President Trump.
I'm trying to stay focused, but I'm very impressed with the VP's socks.
Just looking at your socks now. So yeah, this is Trump liking JD Vance's socks, white socks.
Or we'll never see Vance again. Like, it's one of those where does Trump actually like it, or is he pointing it out in a sort of weird way? Because he apparently likes everything very conventional with your appearance. He might just be going, love those socks, and JD might be thinking, panicking, going, he actually doesn't like them.
But also, maybe wearing those socks is quite a passive-aggressive move. What is he doing wearing white
he's
socks?
trying to take over.
Yeah.
Would that move a needle? It's not like Hitler having his chair higher than everyone else, is it? It's just, you've got some socks on.
You just don't wear white socks with a suit, mate. I don't care if you're hillbilly.
I didn't know that about
Compare and contrast. The last time there was a hoo-ha in the Oval Office, do you own a suit? And now it's down to the socks.
I think this is more contriversial than the Zelensky clip there. But this was actually also a clip which was quite a funny clip. We haven't shown the part of it, which was the Irish...
Famous Irish person.
Whatever it is. However you pronounce Prime Minister or President, whatever it is. What is it?
It's Hoktua.
Anyway, point is, they were there, and Trump basically in the room just sort of went, yeah, we're really angry with Ireland, and, you know, I like Ireland, but we're going to take back all of your... all these big companies that have come...
Taoiseach.
Taoiseach.
Before the Irish people tweet us.
Yeah. Well, I'm not massively happy with the Irish people at the moment myself. So the fact that I even got a laugh would show that there's a certain anti-Semitic problem in parts of Ireland. But that was... You sort of saw his face kind of crumble.
Who?
The Taoiseach.
Oh,
when Trump was during that interview.
Yeah. Did you see the one when he said Chuck Schumer isn't Jewish anymore? He's Palestinian. That was an odd one as well. Trump can do this. He doesn't like your socks. He takes away your whole your whole identity.
And Chuck Schumer is more closely pronouncing Taoiseach correctly than anyone else managed to do that day. So
there we go. Right, we've got another video.
Just caught a baby wombat. Look at the mother. It's like, oh, it's chasing after her.
I caught a baby wombat. Okay, Mom. Let's let him go.
No, he's right.
All right, let him go. Come here, Mama.
we have dealt with some pretty weighty issues during the last 2 hours. But if you could have heard the audible gasp of disgust from the audience here, this video has really upset people.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter. I think I just brushed past it, but it was so painful. I couldn't even watch the whole thing, Josh. Yeah. It's like you're taking it away from its mother.
Yes.
Why? Just for a video?
Because you're American.
It's sick. It's sick. Because you're American? No, it's not. Because
No, she's American.
No, it's because she's a woman. This is
the worst audience you've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
At least he said woman.
That's right, yeah, exactly.
Yes, I know what they are. Come on, guys.
It's because she's a cis woman.
I've never seen a video where you want an animal to take someone's face off more than that. You're like, great, if you want to do that, next time, try it with a bear. Good luck.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, it's very upsetting. Anyway, we're going to have some audience questions now. Gavan, we're back to you.
Yeah, my question is, in Edinburgh, there was a suffragette lady, and they want to make a statue for her. Yeah. But is it all right from a man or a male, whatever you want to say these days?
I think man's okay nowadays.
Yeah. To produce or make the statue.
So this is a story that's going on in Edinburgh at the moment. There isn't any representation of women on the Royal Mile, and they put out a tender to have a woman put up the famous suffragette, and then it's come back. The design is from a bloke, and people seem to have got very upset by this because, you know, men don't know what women are, or something along those lines.
Right.
What do you think about that? Do you think a man should be able to do a statue of a woman?
Do we know exactly all of the people who made all the other statues?
I'm going to guess it's mostly men doing this.
It's mostly men, but therefore it's just this generic, you get it made by... but I don't know who made the Adam Smith statue. Yeah. And this is now what we're doing. It's like, yeah, great. Do you know what? What we need is representation of a statue of a woman. To be made by a man, how dare you? So how far does this go? It's got to be made by a woman. All the materials can only be mined from the earth by women. Eventually, it gets ridiculous.
I would like to see that.
Women mining. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's going to be... We talked about some extreme pornography earlier.
Yeah. I didn't know about his story, and I'm too scared to improvise an opinion in front of these women. Because what if I say the wrong thing, you know?
Yeah.
Because the suffragette... Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm against it.
OK, we've got one final question then from Ryan. Hey.
Yeah, thank you. Given what we chatted about earlier, is it right for organisations to effectively boycott Surrey Pride this year?
Well, this is a very interesting question, actually. Yes, well... Thank you very much. Yeah. This is a really good question, and we're going to do 2 hours on it next week. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, just in terms of like how many people have signed up to that, and now what is people's responses? I think, Steve, when they find out that this is a co-founder. And by the way, Pride and Surrey have sort of distanced themselves. Said, oh, it was some volunteers who are part of it. Yeah. Anyway, right. Thank you very much for that question. Right, thank you very much as well, by the way, for joining us for Free Speech Nation this week. Thank you to my panel, Steve and Alan and Nick Dixon, and to all of my brilliant guests this evening. And if you want to join us live in the studio, be part of our wonderful audience, you can. Please go to www.sraudiences.com. sraudiences.com. Stay tuned for the brilliant Ben Leo tonight. That's next. Thank you very much for watching Free Speech Nation. See you next week. Take care, guys.
We expect clear skies, leading to a light and warm day ahead. Lovely. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We've got plenty of fine weather in store across the UK during the week ahead. Temperatures on the rise too, but later in the week things will be turning more unsettled. High pressure is in charge at the moment, giving us the quiet conditions. This weather front, though, starting to push down from the north, introducing some cloud to some parts of England and Wales, and that's certainly the case as we go through the evening into the overnight period. A fair bit of cloud pushing its way south-westwards across England and Wales, bringing some patchy rain in places. So the clearest skies generally reserved for the north and northwest of the UK. Plenty of clear spells up across the north and west of Scotland, but as a result of the clear skies here, temperatures at their lowest. Could get down to -5 in 1 or 2 spots here by Monday morning. Whereas towards the south and east of the UK with a cloud around, temperatures generally holding up just above freezing, so the frost here much more patchy. So we start Monday with plenty of sunshine towards the north and west of Scotland, further south and east across the country, a bit more cloud around, the odd spot of rain in places, and fairly cloudy too for parts of Northern Ireland, and variable cloud as we head south into England and Wales, thickest towards the south and southwest of the UK. Here we can see 1 or 2 showers to start the day on Monday, but as I say, the frost will tend to be quite patchy here. As we go through the rest of the day on Monday, the sunshine towards the northwest will tend to fade as cloud increases from the south and southeast. Elsewhere though, a fair bit of cloud around, particularly towards the south and west of the UK, 1 or 2 showers down towards the southwest. And the sky is starting to clear across the east and southeast of England. The dry air starts to move in from the near continent. Plenty of sunshine here into the afternoon, but temperatures still struggling, no higher than 7 to 10 Celsius. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. Tuesday looks like getting off to a pretty frosty start, a lot of clear weather around, but we will see plenty of sunshine then as we go through the day on Tuesday. Just a small risk of a shower towards the far north and northeast of the UK. And temperatures on the rise as we go through the week. By the middle to end of the week, could see temperatures in the high teens in 1 or 2 spots. Plenty of sunshine, but rain by Friday.
We'll see a cold snap, which will quickly develop into a warm front. Boxed Boiler Repairs, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. 1 entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I'm Stephen Dixon, and thanks for joining us on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new Royal Newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's 9 p.m. I'm Ben Leo. Tonight.
About a month ago, we received a fine via email to say that we have a £3,000 fine.
So that was last night, but tonight I think there's a massive scam going on at the southern border, and I'm not just talking about small boat arrivals either. I can reveal today how hard-working British families are being fined thousands of pounds for migrants sneaking into their vehicles in France. So isn't it about time we started docking the pay of our failing politicians too? Because small boat crossings are up 20% so far this year. So how about Yvette Cooper's next payslip is docked the same amount? Also tonight,
We have built a physical barrier 5.5 meters tall, and it stopped basically 99% of all the pushes, all the attempts were stopped.
In a GB News exclusive, a stark warning from the former Polish Prime Minister who oversaw the strongest border in Europe. When was the last Islamic terror attack you had in Poland?
Zero. I don't remember any.
None?
None.
So who or what is behind the agenda of uncontrolled mass migration into Europe? And can we save Western civilization from the brink of collapse? My interview with Mateusz Morawiecki coming up. Also tonight.
Should you be getting a PIP payment for ADHD, yes or no?
I think it very much depends on the nature of the condition.
Labour's £6 billion benefit cut rampage. Just why the hell are people with ADHD being given 55 grand BMWs courtesy of the taxpayer? And
no one knows the truth. What did he put on his American visa form?
If they know something about the drugs and if he lied, they'll have to take appropriate action.
that was Donald Trump last year on Prince Harry's drug scandal.